if you talk about the B-Farm candidate as a fresher or the entry level, the salary usually start from 3 to 4.5 lakhs in between somewhere. If you are targeting a multinational companies, then they give higher also because their strategies are different than the traditional Indian pharma companies. However, if you talk about the production-based jobs or QC, QA jobs, so
Hello everyone. Welcome in the ninth episode of 21 Minute Pharma Edge powered by Game of Pharma. And today we have with us a very special guest, Dr. Amrit Karmarkar sir. Sir is senior HR manager at Zuventus Healthcare and also worked with companies like Cipla, USV and many more. Welcome on the show, sir.
thank you so much, Lokesh. I'm pleasure to have this particular podcast with you.
It's my first podcast with someone from the human resource team, sir. So I think there is lot of questions because I have also recently passed out from the college. So that time
Okay.
there was lot of questions from the students, like from the peer group. So I think आज मैं वो questions clear कर पाऊंगा आपके साथ में.
Sure, definitely.
So, sir, I think
Great.
first question to start from there only ki like pharma, it's been 50, 100 years, right? Last that roles has evolved too much, right? Logo ki
Yeah.
personas has evolved too much, right? So, how you see, like you are also from a while in this industry, right? How you see this evolution from from a persona based approach to now they are focusing on to a digital first approach, right? So how they have changed.
Yeah. So, thank you so much for this wonderful question. To be very frank, when we talk about how the industry has evolved, since last 14 years, I'm in this industry, and I have clearly seen the shift of the industry from a sales driven to the omni channel. So, when I started my career, the industry was more about, you can say, as just sales and the figures and numbers were there and the constant source of engagement for the customers, that is the doctors, to be very frank, were just pushing out or the calls from the medical representatives. However, since the entry of the digital era, particularly post 2005 in India or 2010 in India, you can say, the sales has taken a little bit of backseat, but it has been also been aided by the omni-channel engagement, like how digitally I can cater to the doctors, how digitally I can give a lot of touch points like social media, like through the AI, and how through the emailers I can touch upon the doctors, and that will actually help me to drive a sale. So it's not just a sale from just a one MR visiting a doctor, but it's all about how many touch points I took for the one doctor so that I can get his prescriptions actually. So that is how the industry had changed. Talking to the R&D perspective, initially it was just about the formulation and the analytical, but now it has also been powered by AI as well as some drug discovery softwares like Schrodinger and many more. And if you talk about compliance, obviously it has been increased because earlier only the normal regulations of US FDA were there, but now you can see a 21 CFR Part 11 coming into the picture. So digital signature, digital validation of the data, GDPR is also there. So a lot of compliances has been there, to be very frank. And now a recent entry in Indian sales and marketing domain, that is a UCPMP. So that actually made a pharma companies to take a cautious steps and move into the more and more regulated markets rather than the individualistic approach of the marketing. So that's how the industry has evolved since so many years. If you talk about a clinical trial domain, which actually I have done a specialization in, the earlier clinical trials were just focusing on the phase one, phase two, phase three. But now even smaller companies have started doing a phase four clinical studies, real world evidences, so that when the MR goes and talks to the doctor, he will actually talk about the real world evidence data which was done by that particular company. So this is how the market has taken a shape in last so many years, you can say.
So it's great to hear, sir, that we have evolved really much, right? And
Yeah,
not a single department, but at every departmental level, like we have find out that some significant opportunities are there, and we need to grasp that, right? So
yes, yes,
like in the human resource, right, when I was also in the college and when I talked with some of the early professional, like they told ki I have applied to many jobs but CV ही select नहीं हो रहा है, right? As simple as
right,
that कि CV ही select नहीं हो रहा है. And then like they now the things are evolved also too much, right? Pharmaceutical
right,
specialized certification courses are there.
right,
People are doing that starting from their college only. They are participating into the workshop conferences. They are trying
yes,
everything whatever they want to do. So I just want to
true,
ask a simple question ki is like many industry, pharma is also prioritizing the ATS approved resumes, or there are some other factors they sometimes consider, okay, to selecting a CV, or they prioritize some other skills, like you can just let us know.
right, right. So ATS is basically a applicant tracking system, to be very frank. So what happens is, to be very frank, pharma also the market is segregated into two. One is a core pharma companies, which are like a top 10 pharma companies or top 50 pharma companies, which sell the drug products into the market, and the customers are doctors. However, there are another set of companies where pharmacy graduates get a job, is like a KPO. Okay, like a TCS, Cognizant, जहाँ पे they have a pharmacovigilance, data analysis, data management, ऐसे रोल है. Now, अगर आप कंपेयर करोगे, if you compare with traditional pharma companies versus the IT based, IT backed up pharma companies, traditional pharmas still don't prefer ATS. There are very few pharma companies, and possibly the multinationals do use the ATS softwares. However, there are major like these KPO based companies, जो TCS, Cognizant, Wipro, Infosys, ऐसे लोग हैं, all of them use ATS. Now, so the while a person who is a B Farm pass out, he has to first set up the priorities कि मैं कहाँ apply करूँ, right? Because what happens is most of the times the colleges have a set format, okay, and the CVs look like a image is there, some colors are there, so CV looks attractive. So CV is made from Canva or Adobe, right? And CV looks attractive. That is, you can say, maybe or may not be, it's a ATS friendly. So if you want to have a one approach for both of these, you should have a hybrid method. Like your CV should have a keywords for both. लाइक अगर आप ट्रेडिशनली फार्मा कंपनीज के पास अप्लाई कर रहे हो तो भी कीवर्ड्स होने चाहिए आपके सीवी में. अगर आप फार्माको विजिलेंस और ये केपीओ बेस्ड कंपनी में जा रहे हो तो भी आपके पास कीवर्ड सीवी में होने ही चाहिए. नाउ व्हाट शुड बी द कीवर्ड्स इज ऑल अबाउट द सर्टिफिकेशंस यू डिड. Like I have done a clinical trial course, I have done the regulatory affairs course, I have done a pharmacovigilance, I have done some marketing certification, digital analysis, data analysis. So if I have done such kind of thing, then I should highlight it as a keywords, you can say, somewhere in that what I have done, or particularly in this. So keyword ka hi sab khel hai. Like not only this, like when you want to balance these ATS versus the human CVs, to be very frank, I will name it as a human because ये human check करता है, to be very frank. Although it is uploaded on the computerized system or any software or HRIS of the companies, but ये तो ultimately screening तो human कर रहा है. So it should have a clear sections like your experience if you have, or the education, projects that you have done, some certification, some publication, and it should have some keywords like GMP, GLP, ICH guidelines if you're looking for a manufacturing based jobs. फार्माकोविजिलेंस, क्लिनिकल ट्रायल, रेगुलेटरी अगर आपको क्लिनिकल ट्रायल बेस्ड जॉब पे जाना है. मार्केटिंग, डिजिटल मार्केटिंग यू शुड हैव. डेटा एनालिटिक्स यू शुड हैव इफ यू आर अप्लाइंग फॉर मार्केटिंग रोल. सो आपको rather than the fancy or the graphics, okay, you should have a simplistic CV which can highlight your keywords or the expertise in that domain very quickly, you can say. If you talk about the particularly the certifications, you should first focus where you are applying. Like let's say if I'm applying for the marketing and I'm having a five certifications related to clinical trial, it may not be selected. That candidate gets actually zero entry into that department. So I have to first focus, and for every position you have to tailor your CV according. अगर आप एक ही सीवी बनाओगे और सभी जगह सेम सीवी भेज दोगे, probably the chances of selections are close to zero, I must say.
I totally agree to your point, sir. And then, मतलब one point from my end as well, कि whenever someone is building the CV, so when I was in the college also, and then I was doing this stuff, like I was just researching that how these big business schools, right, how their students are creating their own CVs, like how they are showing their certification courses, workshop, all other stuff. What I have observed that कि people just write that I have participated in this XYZ, I have done XYZ. I think the person like जो दूसरे side में है, like he is not interested like what you have done, what you have achieved through this. I think that is make more sense, right? So अगर मैंने कहीं पे एक
Absolutely.
internship करी है, so उस internship का result क्या था वहां पे, right? Because अब पुराने
Absolutely.
internships और आज के internships में भी बहुत difference है. पहले internships होते थे to upskill yourself. Now every
Yes.
company is look at from the perspective of win-win situation कि आपका
Yes.
तो अपस्किलिंग होगा, एट द सेम टाइम इफ यू आर वर्किंग ऑन अ सर्टेन प्रोजेक्ट दैट इज आल्सो समवेयर एसोसिएटेड विद द कंपनी शॉर्ट और लॉन्ग टर्म गोल, राइट?
Absolutely.
तो
Absolutely.
आई थिंक वो मेंशन करना वहां पे बहुत नेसेसरी हो जाता है. तो सपोज इफ आई अटेंडेड ए आईपीए की वर्क कॉन्फ्रेंस कि
Right.
मैं आई हैव अटेंडेड दिस, सो व्हाट आई हैव अंडरस्टूड फ्रॉम देयर कि वो डिजिटल फोकस थी. सो आई हैव अंडरस्टूड दिस कि व्हाट इज गोइंग ऑन इन द डिजिटल वर्ल्ड ऑफ द फार्मा. सो ये एक सिंपल सा स्टेटमेंट हो गया बिसाइड योर कॉन्फ्रेंस. सो इट शोकेस कि हाँ अगर आप गए थे, सो यू actually gain some sort of input. Otherwise, so like there are
True. True.
multiple conferences are there, like you can attend whatever you want, right?
Yes, yes, yes. Actually, that makes an important point, because if you are a B Pharma professional or you have done M Pharma or MBA per se, you should first focus where you want to go. And let's say you have attended 10 conferences, but for that job role, only two conferences are relevant. Then you should focus only two and write that two only in the CV rather than writing entire 10 conferences.
Right, right, right.
And while you are giving an interview, you should be also giving that information, that what knowledge you have got from these conferences. So that is also making a valid point while they are actually giving an interview to the companies.
So, sir, like you mentioned, कि for IT it's must that ATS friendly CV होना चाहिए, but for a pharma thing, I think more personalized and more job oriented CV जितना prepare करेंगे, right? That will make more
Yes,
sense, right? But
yes,
अगर
yes,
अभी हम इंडस्ट्री को देखते हैं, राइट, अगर कोई भी नेटवर्किंग प्लेटफॉर्म या कम्युनिटी प्लेटफॉर्म्स को अगर हम देखते हैं तो वहां पे एक मेजर क्वेश्चन है, and that is salary differences between the pharma and the IT world. And I think if
yes,
I
yes,
will
yes.
put this question, this conversation on LinkedIn right now, I think people will come at their points ki that's yeah, we do this kind of stuff, we also deserve the same salary thing and these kind of stuff. So what's your views on this one? As well as I just want to know from a HR point of view, like what do you think, what is the average salary of a bachelor's student in the pharma and master's student of the pharma? Like let's take the average salary, like because we all know that it fully depends on the candidate and the job profile he is going for, right?
Before hiring, what companies do is they have set competencies for the particular role. And if the candidate gets fit into that certain particular competencies, to be very frank, the candidate gets a requisite salary. Now, if you talk about the BPharm candidate as a fresher or the entry level, the sales salary usually start from 3 to 4.5 lakhs in between somewhere. If you are targeting a multinational companies, then they give higher also, because their strategies are different than the traditional Indian pharma companies. However, if you talk about the production based jobs or QC, QA jobs, so that comes to close to around 5 lakhs, you can say, or 4 to 5 lakhs. And same applies to the clinical research. Now, when it comes to the MPharm candidate for R&D, Usually the packages range from 4.5 to 7.5 and so on. However, for a certain set of roles like a clinical research or a medical writing, little bit extra people get because these roles are offered by the IT based pharma companies. So there is a little bit a higher package. However, like if you compare this with IT for pharma job roles, initially you feel that yes, salaries are less as compared to the IT. And that's actually the reason that pharma is not much attractive to the younger generations. But to be very frank, if you see the fast salary growth is your goal, to be very frank, then IT will win. However, for a stability perspective, Indian pharma is a pharma of the world. We supply to almost every pharma market across the world. You can say no company or no such country is there in world where Indian pharma company has a zero presence. Almost everywhere Indian, at least small or bigger companies have reached. So the job security in pharma is good. You will get a global opportunities. Let's say if you are in the sales and 5 years down the line you are willing to become a country manager abroad, you can easily go. So there you will get a higher packages. Even they are higher than IT. Not only this, after like 10 years, 15 years down the line, when you acquire a new set of skills, remember the learning is a key and learning will give you the more salary rather than just sticking to the same old degree which you obtained 10, 15 years ago. So learning along with the gaining a new experience, one day you will get a good salaries that even can surpass the IT.
I think I think IT versus pharma, it's not, I think that should not be a debate. I think IT
Absolutely.
and pharma, I think that is somewhere like fits well. It's because of now like pharma is also adapting the new IT things, right? Softwares in the
Yes.
sales, software in the R&D. Now, like AI companies are there who are finding the right target molecules, all other stuff, right? New
Yes.
CRMs
Yes.
are coming up for the sales team. Now, training, like you are the
Yes.
expert of the learning and development department. AIs are coming in where AI avatar, they are just feeding the data and the knowledge there, and then on the regular basis, right? Learning and development
Yeah. Yeah.
session goes monthly or quarterly basis, but on the daily basis, I think companies can push that kind of strategy to make their sales empower. So I think now it's not dumb, like is also now the part of the pharma, and then
Absolutely.
because of this integration, I think these both industries are learning uh, things from the each other. So I think that's now
Yes.
not game of pharma or IT, it's the game of pharma and IT. So I think, sir, let's make this podcast more fun. I will ask you some of the rapid fire questions, and you need
Oh
to
my
give
God.
the answers in one word or phrase. I think that's the most exciting part of this podcast. Okay. So the first
Sure, sure.
question is, what is the most unexpected skill that helps in pharma?
So if you talk about the unexpected scale, it's a storytelling
Okay.
because be it storytelling with the data, storytelling with the clinical research data, everything can be done or solved with the storytelling. So for each and every role, you should have a storytelling.
I think totally agree with your point. I think when you face KOL also during your sales call, I think that skills, storytelling skills, because you are not only the single company, right? As you mentioned
Yes,
that
yes, yes.
India is now a very, very competitive market. So you should have
Absolutely.
some two, three competitive advantage in yourself so that you can at least introduce your product in that whole like pool of companies, right?
Yes, yes,
Then
yes. Absolutely.
then pharma, work from home in pharma, blessing, curse, or just an excuse?
So I would prefer to say it as it's not a one size fits all. For some companies, for some roles, it is blessing, particularly for a KPO based roles, it's a blessing. For certain companies who are actually into the field sales or medical reps or for manufacturing for R&D roles, it's a curse. You can't do this practically. And for some of the professionals who are like excuse givers, it's actually an excuse, you can say, to be
Right.
very frank. So
Right.
it's just a mixed feeling, I must say.
Right. Right. What are the three underrated skills that most common people overlook, but for you, they are absolute game changers when hiring a candidate?
So this is a great question, in fact. So when hiring and especially in the L&D and HR, I must say that there are three game changer skills. One is a learning agility. You should be having a ability to quickly learn and adapt and get a new knowledge. Second thing is structured thinking and problem solving. Problem solving is a need of our, and companies do look at the people who are having these particular skills. And lastly, influencing without authority, because younger professional or even for me, I cannot become a decision maker quickly on the day one.
Right.
I will become a decision maker by 10 years down the line, 15 years down the line, and for the young professional maybe 20 years down the line. But influencing without authority is needed for everyone, you can say, so that you can convince your point, get a buy-in, and drive a change across the organization as well as the team.
So thank you so much for this podcast, sir. I really enjoyed this session.
Yes, yes, yes. Same here. And in fact, I enjoyed this discussion, and I hope that this will be useful for your audience, especially the younger professionals who are looking to enter into the pharma, students of B Pharm, M Pharm, and MBA colleges. Definitely, this interview will help, I must say. And in future, definitely, I am ready to help the students in the coming time. Thank you for this opportunity, Lokesh.
Thank you. Thank you so much, sir. Bye bye.